I have 5:01. I'd like to call the meeting to order this evening. I just wanted to mention that today is 9/11, and that's always going to be kind of baked in my mind because I was working for the state government that day, and I ended up I worked for the banking department, and went back and forth with the governor. We ended up closing all the banks that day because we were worried about a panic. So thoughts of those who passed are in my mind. So I'd like to ask someone to make a motion to amend the agenda so we can listen to Logan's Eagle Scout project right after the public comments.
Motion to amend.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anna Fred?
Would someone make a motion to approve the minutes of the July meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Any discussion? Any questions?
Second.
Go second. Yeah, excuse me. Thank you. Any discussion or questions or anything? Should we have a vote to approve it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Suzanne, is there anybody on the line?
Anyone on the line? No.
No. So, Andrea, I'll let you introduce Logan.
This is Logan Landry and his father, Greg. And Logan had approached us with the idea of doing an Eagle project on Bartholomew. And I sent you all a copy of his report, and so he will make a presentation about his report, and I had previewed some questions that he might elaborate on if people have other questions about the project. So Logan, take it away.
Do you want to sit here, Logan? You sure? I'll sit here. I'll mix up over there. Okay.
He looks pretty handsome in his uniform, so.
All right, so you want me to just talk about my Eagle project?
Please.
So I'm planning on building a 25-foot bridge across a body of water that beavers have inhabited, and I'm going to use 25-foot long telephone pole to across the water so we can put boards across and make it eligible to walk on. So we are getting the telephone poles from a family friend of ours that works for Eversource, and they have kindly also given us a cart and a boat to transport to log the poles from the woods and across the water so we can make it easy. There will be 2x6 planks across of the telephone poles, and we have decided that there's going to be a lot of them because we don't want huge gaps, so dogs don't catch their paws on it and just cause a huge problem. So across the boards, we're also planning on putting some wire to prevent skid, so bikers as well can use this bridge. And it'll all be elevated on locust logs to prevent the water from rising and to prevent the logs from rolling it over. To bolt the telephone pole to the logs, we're going to use some extra long screws so we can attach them and prevent, them from rolling away or anything like that. Our planks are going to be pressure treated, and the locust logs will be pre-cut. So they will be done off-site. You will also be trying to build some ramps to just make it a little bit easier for the bikers so they don't have to, lift their bikes up. We will also be using for the ramps, we'll make it like a nice small little elevation so while they're riding we don't have to go up a little hill just to go on the bridge. It'll be very granular with the support of 3 other locust logs to prevent the ramp from rolling over. Those will be on each side. And we will be using 4 screws, 2 on each side of the boards to hold them down to the telephone poles. So that's pretty much what it looks like. And we're also going to need like a tiny boat to transport people to the other side so we can make the telephone poles easily adjusted to where we want them.
So you said you'll need another boat, that Eversource will give you one boat?
I'm not entirely sure. We might need, we can use.
They're not giving us a boat, it's
No.
the V cart they're giving us.
Ah, okay,
Oh.
yes, okay.
No boat from Eversource.
That's what I,
They're just loaning us a cart that they use for getting poles.
gotcha,
You'll
okay.
come up with a boat of your own from somewhere?
Yeah, just a little 8-footer get from one side to the other. It's pretty deep from when we were over there probing on it. It's probably 1.5 to 2 feet deep, so.
Mm-hmm.
How much, how long will this job take you to complete, Logan? Are you going to be doing it on weekends? Is it like multiple weekends? Or how many hours do you have a sense of what this might take?
Probably along the lines of a weekend is probably when it would be best to fit people's schedule. And probably like, give or take, maybe 3, maybe 4 hours just to, build the bridge.
And will you have members of your Boy Scout troop helping you, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Boy, those poles are gonna be heavy though, I mean,
Yeah.
25 feet.
Yeah.
It does have a few logistical challenges for sure. Makes it exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Would you need some brush cutting to turn the corners on the way in?
Probably not, but if I could take another look at Bartholomew Trail, see if it's good, but if not, we could probably use some cutters or other stuff that's off the
Yeah,
project.
just that trail into that water is pretty narrow,
Yeah,
and turning the corner with a 25-foot pole might be a little
challenging, yeah.
dodgy.
Along those lines of potential site work, when we were there were some trees that looked like the beavers were beginning to attack and maybe eventually might fall down.
Yeah,
And the bridge you're building looks really sturdy. And so maybe if the tree fell down on it, really wouldn't matter, but I'm just wondering if we should consider
yeah,
removing some trees first.
yeah,
If
we
that's
should,
something we should look into or not.
yeah,
That's really beyond what your project entails, but if we need to do that, it might be better to do that first.
yeah, we don't want no trees falling on us.
And you want to start pretty soon, I believe, right?
Yeah,
September 15th, I believe?
yeah.
Now, when you say to start September 15th, can you clarify, do you envision that as being site, or being on the site? That's this Saturday, next Saturday, Sunday.
Sunday, that's
Oh,
coming.
that's this coming Sunday, so do you expect to be on the ground on Sunday, or are you going to be going through some of the administrative aspects of getting our approval, wetlands approval, identifying the materials, costing them out, buying them?
Well, I gotta answer that. Like you said.
So, there's some approval process for sure, going through wetlands for one, and we know we won't go to wetlands till October. I think you had mentioned that, right? Yeah. So, and the other is he has to go through council too. Once you guys approve that signature, you guys sign off, at least one of you signs off as a rep. I think we have, you have written down as that. And that takes a couple of weeks too. So, but no, that's part of I think, the timeline. But he's probably more likely, because he's in soccer season right now, the end of October, early November, before he catches a weekend to actually do the project. Yeah.
So will there be a schedule at some point, when you have more clarity when you can start, like when you'll be doing things? It depends on the weather, too.
Yeah, exactly. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a little bit about your budget? So are you going to try to see if you can get materials donated, or will you need us to help you, or?
Some of the materials have already been donated or will be during the site. For example, like I said, the telephone poles
Yeah.
were completely donated, but we will need to buy some stuff like probably planks.
Yeah, the cross pieces and the screws and hardware.
Yeah,
And
but
what your anti-skid.
yeah, I'm pretty sure our uncle's shop can help us with the anti-skid.
So you'd just be using chicken wire on the top of the,
It's actually a plaster and lab wire. It's on a couple, it's actually on a 3 Mile preserve bridge, and it's also, his brother used it on Boggy Hole
okay.
as well. I guess everybody says it's really dog, Ann Gallagher had actually recommended it, and it was dog friendly. The dogs don't mind walking on it, stuff like that.
Yeah, oh, that's good. Yeah,
Rather than using a tape or something, it just comes up.
because I've been on bridges with chicken wire.
Yeah.
In the heavy rain and that, I mean, it works for anti-skid,
Yeah,
but it's,
it's a little rough for the dogs, I think.
yeah, no, these were on trails where dogs weren't allowed, so.
Yeah.
Can get slippery, some of the wires.
Yeah.
So Logan will be going to the lumberyard to ask for a discount or donations. It's part of it's a good part of the process as far as scouts go, to get in uniform and go up and see them and to do that. So, but there's likely to be some kind of a balance. Yeah. I mean, him and I put together a budget number. You can talk a little bit about that and how we came up with that budget number.
Yeah, we came up with our budget because we looked on like Home Depot and other apps for, galvanized screws and all of that, and how much it would cost for how many we need for each and every part of our project. So, yeah, we looked at some sources from Home Depot and other places that sell those types of things to see how much it would cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that. I hope you can do it. If there's a balance, please come back to us and we'll help you out.
Apropos to that, I would like to learn about how many planks you do intend to, because that's going to affect how many you ask for and what the cost is and how much they may be willing to donate. And I know you're planning to have them be pretty flush. I would argue this is just my opinion, that they don't have to be, that a dog or others could have it a certain number, 6 inches or more apart, is my thinking. And I would also kind of question the ramps. I think it's a good idea. Personally, I think it's a little ambitious, given that this won't even possibly hit the ground until the end of October, and then you come into October holidays, November holidays, weather, and there is, I think, a larger question about the multi-use of the trails. I think generally people want to have open use recreation on the trails, but biking can and has been a little bit of a sticky point with all of the land facilities.
Well, also, I would say Bartholomew is so small, I'm not really sure how desirable it is for bikers.
Yeah.
I don't know that they would get a whole lot out of it. I mean, they might, but I think there's other trails that would be a little more challenging and interesting for biking.
Yeah.
How much of a step up would you anticipate without those ramps from the ground to the top?
Well, using the pre-cut, the pre-cut locust logs in telephone pole, probably like, I don't know, a couple feet up.
Yeah.
It's not specified.
I'm not
Should
sure.
be up at 18 inches for sure, I would think.
Yeah. And could you do a step instead of ramp? Could you put one step
Yeah.
in?
No, I think it's a good consideration. I don't see that as an active biking place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big loop,
Right.
so it may not be necessary. Maybe you could accomplish what you need to do
Fewer
with a
materials
step.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, something
maybe
to
less
consider.
time, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know,
I appreciate your consideration of possible bicyclists. They can always lift their bike up and
Yeah.
roll across and take it down too.
it might be a little safer getting a bike across, walking across than biking.
Well, that's not the point of biking.
Like motorcycles.
Yeah.
So, you guys are thinking more of a step rather than a ramp? I mean, it's really up to you guys, it really,
I think that's all that's needed for that property. I just don't see bikers using it. Some bikers go out, they want to go out for 3 or 4 or 5 miles. And,
Yeah.
otherwise they'll go out and do that loop like 50 times, I guess, or something.
Right.
You've done the loop in 2 minutes.
So you can make a change for that.
Yeah.
That's not,
Simplify things.
And if the bikers do want to use it for whatever reason, they can make their own ramps.
As they do.
They do that.
Yeah.
I will say his brother did Boggy Hole, and it has a lot of ramps, and just ramps over wet areas, and I know Ann always says that the bikers love it. That's one of their, that's the only reason why we're thinking about it there, but you say that they won't use that trail probably, so it might be pointless.
I tend to
It was
doubt.
so small, I think, yeah.
Really small.
Yeah.
Boggy Hole has the advantage, you can come in Champlain North to Boggy Hole, then go to Ames. So it's a much bigger,
Even before Champlain, you can start by the old line in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way to Whippoorwill.
yeah, and they do, so.
And Lord's Meadow, honestly, if it's passable, by Whippoorwill, yeah.
For your wetland approval, I've alerted the wetland administrator, Eric Knapp, that you will be coming in, and I'd be willing to go with you when, you can. I think they have 9 to 4, so you might have to go after school someday to get them, but I didn't give him the plan or anything. I just said, heads up, Scott's going to be coming in with a stream crossing proposal. And then I suggested that he look at section 4.2B, which suggests it's a rather routine approval if the commission gets involved, but I think he could sign off on it because you're really replacing. It's almost, I can't say it's a repair because the other thing was so destroyed, but it's a replacement of an existing structure, connecting existing trails, and those types of uses, if you read the regulations that are online, are permitted uses. We'll see. I mean, he has to make the decision as to whether or not he's going to sign off or he's going to bump it up to the citizen board, just like we are. And they might want to visit the site because each month the items on the agenda before the meeting, they go out and visit.
It would seem to me, I don't have any experience whatsoever in wetlands, but it seems to me that the environmental impact would be relatively minimal because you're not even really disturbing the soil, you're just resting things on the ground, so more or less.
The only thing that I think the Wetlands Commission might ask about is whether if there's pressure treated material. Of course, the pressure treating these days is a lot better than it used to be. They used to use arsenic for pressure treating, and that was a real problem. When it rained, the arsenic would go in the water. So, I don't know what they use now. Do you know, Mike?
I don't think they'll even be asked. But the other thing, I'm not that familiar with Bartholomew and how much the water goes up and goes down. One thing they might be interested in is an attachment to one part of the bridge so that if it starts to float, it doesn't go downstream. Downstream is probably the Beaver
Yeah, well, it's easy enough to put a
cable or a
put
rope or.
a screw in the end of the log, in one end of the log, and then put a chain on it and put the chain around a tree. And then
But it would be something relatively simple, but I don't know how much the water goes up and down. Apparently, it could amount to destroy the old bridge
Yeah.
or crossing.
And I think, Evan, you have locust logs, right?
Yes, I do.
How many would you have?
I have two that are 20 inches long. So I don't know whether that, how far apart would the two total be?
That's a little narrow.
Yeah.
That's a little narrow.
It's a little narrow, so.
Oh, we have some tree guy friends, so.
So you have other sources of locust logs?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, in regards to the wetlands too, I know that we have the scouts have a slight advantage. Two former scoutmasters are on the commission, so they have a tendency to kind of approve Eagle Scout projects pretty regularly. Three. Make that three.
What is the width of the planks that you intend to use?
You're into 30 inches. 30 inches.
Yeah, 30 inches is what we're going to use.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
And we feel pretty good about the water level not going up any further. And Evan explained that once the lodge is built, they reach a certain level and then.
Yeah, that they simply want to maintain, the beavers want to maintain a consistent level of water so that they can get in and out of there. Mainly it's for the winter time because they don't want the water to freeze and close off there and have the water low enough so that the ice blocks the entrance of their lodge. And so they want to maintain a water level at a certain height and to, it's not as if we get 2 foot thickness of ice in the wintertime anymore.
Okay. So this won't be flooded in 3 years because the water is not going to flood?
No, I don't think so.
Not if the beaver deceiver works.
Well, I mean, we could always, if we want to regulate the water, we could also always talk to Mike Callahan about doing the beaver deceiver further inland, except other than the roadway back wherever the main dam is that's blocking up the water. So would someone like to make a motion to approve Logan's project?
I'd be happy to make the motion to approve Logan's project.
And
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Motion passes, and thank you. Thank you for volunteering, and good luck with the project. We'll help you however we can.
The only question I would have is when he does go to ask about dollars and cents, like if there's a balance, would that require him to come to a meeting or would that?
No, you just,
Okay.
communicate with
You can communicate with me.
Andrew can get it sent over to me.
I mean, in the past, sometimes lumberyards donate the entire thing, so other times they just give a pretty large discount, so that's been pretty.
I would just advise, and I'd be interested also to see what your numbers are, so that we might be able to project.
I think he has it in the budget, right?
Yeah,
Well,
$700.
$700, but it
Yeah,
doesn't specify the number of planks and the cost of the planks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't include or disclude the ramp. So it's, in my opinion, not terribly specific.
Very high level.
It'll go down most likely, and I don't know about, like, I know your idea about spreading the planks out, but putting a wire on it as well, that could be, like, the wire will start to dip and start to cause a little bit of a challenge there.
And it may not, I mean, it's your design, it was just my opinion that would require more materials and labor.
Probably not a huge amount in 25 feet, that's pretty minor as far as dollar value.
And to keep us informed, because I think we would like to be present for the work party, and if there is prior bush cutting or clearing the trail at the beginning, we can facilitate with that. So we look forward to the collaboration, and this is very exciting.
Yeah.
So you need this signed, this paper signed?
You give her a reading, and then there's two signatures, one on this page and one on this one.
So I just get that, that's right.
Might as well get signed now. And you can keep moving.
So I keep this.
Yep.
Okay,
It's just kind of, it's for you, it's an explanation.
Okay.
Wait, which one's for you?
Beneficiary.
Beneficiary.
Yes.
Her too, right?
Yep.
Yes, I'm benefiting from, on behalf of the Open Space Commission, we are benefiting from you.
Our Chief Steward.
Got that. 9/11. And then this one as well. No, that's Douglas.
I think
Okay.
there's just one spot on that page.
Yep, I see it. Yep, the others are Jonathan and Tom. Yep.
Yeah, and there's one more, I think, which is really just a fundraising page. I don't know why they make us do that, 'cause we don't, like, fundraising is more like in the scout world, like if you went out and raised money to pay for the project. We always discourage that, because it's like a whole other project on top of a project.
Yeah.
So we just have to fill it out somewhat as a fundraiser, and then submit it to
Is
district.
this the beneficiary approval?
Yep. And they make you fill out the paperwork for fundraising, like if you did raise a bunch of money, they're like, well, what happens when you have extra money? Like, where's that go? It can't be like you raised 1,000 and only needed 500, you know? That has to go somewhere, so. That's good.
No?
You're good.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you both for coming by and anything you needed tonight. And good luck, and we'll be in touch. Yep.
Thank you, Logan.
Thanks for having us.
You have contact information for Michael, if you want
We
to.
do have his
Yeah.
contact, yep, yep. And maybe one day right after school, you can get over there before soccer.
Yeah, I'm available because I'm retired
Yep.
almost any time.
Okay. We'll set that up maybe next week, because you got to get on the wetlands thing, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Nice.
Well, thank you for amending the meeting to accommodate him, and I know it's soccer now.
So, I have forgotten my watch. I don't have my phone here. I have roughly about 5:30. I
Yes.
need to leave by 7, and I would like to allot us, say, roughly a half hour in executive session today. So we have about an hour for the rest of the meeting, which maybe we won't need it, but we'll see. So I just wanted to start by going over the budget, and happy to say that we got our regular budget approved with a slight increase in stewardship costs, and we also got our 2 carryover requests approved. And our open space fund stayed active with a token donation of $100 to it. So we...
Buy a blade of grass.
And the most important thing really is I mean, we could have worked around a lot of things, but the most important one really was the $11,000 or so to finish Ann's project in Ferry Landing. And that would be great to move that forward. And I hope that after another round of spraying and mowing, that we'll really we'll have the Phragmites not under control, close to being under control. So cross our fingers on that.
Guys, thank you for doing all the budget work and showing up at all the meetings, jet lagged and whatever. And, it's great that you were able to come away with a really solid budget.
So let's segue into stewardship, and I'll let Andrea, and I don't know if Andrea, Ann want to do it, or do you want to?
Oh, take it away, Andrea. Please. But I'll chime in if need be.
So we now have 2 stewards, and trying to delegate, distinguish the roles and responsibilities, and reconcile it with a budget. It's going to have a little bit of ongoing discussion and also maybe recalculating their hours vis-a-vis the budget. They both work more or less 12 hours, 24 hours in a month. And sustaining that at that rate over the year is like $17,000.
It's not a sustainable rate year-round, given our current budget. It could be this year if we devote a lot of the carryover funds to that, but a lot of the carryover funds will have some other potential uses, maybe working on Ferry Landing to put in a roadway. I'd like to be an active participant in that, so not Ferry Landing, excuse me, Horseneck Creek. I'd like to be, sort of answering, what? Yeah, on Horseneck Creek. So whatever roadway is put into the potential dock, that we have a minimal disturbance of the forest there, and we don't have a big 4-lane highway going through there. And we also need to have some work done on our mapping and so forth. And Andrew and I chatted with somebody who was a pretty good cartographer, and we have some other things he can do which kind of relate to what Logan is doing. We had we did a number of drone flights over Bartholomew, which really will give us a good sense of the hydrology of the project. However, they all need to be stitched together using ArcGIS. We had one of the former high school students look at that, but he didn't have that program. He had a kind of a freeware program that didn't accommodate her images. So we have some cartography expenses too. Anyway.
No. So it can't all go to their salary, bottom line.
Bottom line.
So one possible division of their time would be Isaac will work on Ferry Landing's watering and Horseneck Creek's trimming, both of which is going to die down by October, November. But that when they approach the trails, they should do so kind of together, at the same time, but not together. Because if Peter needs to saw with a chainsaw, we discussed and agreed that he should be accompanied by Isaac. So if they both, say, start on McCulloch, Ames, and Champlain South, they start at this trailhead, and there's the brown perimeter trail, and they come and they meet, and then they go through one goes yellow, one goes blue, and then they meet again, and then they do the orange, so that they're both on the same trail, but in different components, which is probably a good 2 hours if you're not really doing any work. I mean, I think any of us who've walked it, you might do one of the blue, yellow, green trails. You don't necessarily do all of them. And that way, between their cell phone and a whistle, if there's a fallen tree, it's like, go, come here, and then he takes out his chainsaw, he's got backup, or they can consult over, hey, this looks like it could be a reroute, it could be a bridge. Let's see, could we do this? Not today, let's plan it, or is this a larger work party scale? And that would leave Champlain North, the one by the old Lime Inn, as a singleton for, say, Peter to knock off by himself. So I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of their hours, but it would probably be less than 24 together in 1 month's time.
Have you talked to them? Haven't?
Not yet.
Okay.
Peter, I know, is either busy or out of town this week, but it's just a discussion, and that since there's also been other interest for maybe forest management for Isaac to pursue, or doing some more map things with maybe Russell and Peter, or a chainsaw training for Peter, that some of the money could be allocated to them to kind of make up for their not walking hours.
One of the things that just came to mind, Andrea, is how well their schedules can possibly mesh, because I know that Peter's retired, but he's probably got certain days he prefers to work, and I think Isaac has another job that he.
Well, that's up for them to coordinate.
Yeah.
On the reports,
Yeah.
Peter says today or this month, Isaac has been with me, Isaac has been with me, Isaac has been with me.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of their responsibility there are 30 days in a month. They should be able to, and there's basically 5 trails,
Yeah.
not counting Bartholomew. And I broke up McCulloch as 2 from Flat Rock and Whippoorwill, and I broke up Champlain North from,
Right.
one of them, as kind of 2 entrances, so that each month, every trail is looked at.
I didn't get a chance to look at it. I saw that you shared an updated Stewart's report from Peter.
Yes.
Do we get anything from Isaac? Or does
You don't
Peter-
have a report, I have his hours.
Right, doesn't he, so he's not giving a report on the things that he's doing on his own, but he did do much of his hours in tandem with Peter this past month anyway. So that would be, Peter sort of reporting for the 2 of them. But if they are going to be doing things independently, and Isaac has been very good about letting me know when something's going on at Perry Landing, and I'm sure he would do the same at Horseneck Creek if those 2 are his sort of, his domain, if you will. But they should probably, I'm not sure how best to get them into a monthly report format. Maybe whenever he notifies one of us about something at one of those 2 sites, he could copy Peter on it. And Peter
I
could
think
throw it in.
I think it's reasonable that Isaac could just send a couple paragraphs to Peter, and Peter could just amend it
Yeah.
into his report.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be simplest for us just to have one report.
Yeah.
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 So it,
Can I make a suggestion, potentially saving money given to the budget?
Yes.
I mean, would it be worthwhile considering giving them a month off in, like, sort of normal winter months when things aren't so travel? Things aren't growing?
that's the one thing that I hope will save us some considerable expense, in that. I mean, up until last year, Peter was in Florida 6 months a year. He's a Florida resident, so he was there 6 months in a day. So he was working half a year here. And I think that, trees still fall down, but there's probably much less use of all the trails when you're getting to January and February when there's snow on the ground or whatever, and we can certainly go stretches there where they don't need to do the trails as often.
Well, I'm sure there'll be contingency issues. Yeah. For instance, if we are unlucky enough to get a hurricane, there'll be plenty of work. That was going to take, maybe with 2 guys, a whole year to clean up. And some of it won't be.
And Isaac can't use a chainsaw just yet for us.
If we had a catastrophe like a major hurricane, I think it would might even be beyond the capacity of them alone to do.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole different story.
Do they have a minimum amount of hours per month?
I'm sorry?
Do they have a minimum amount of hours that they count on?
No.
No, we don't have really, when you hired Isaac, I don't think there was parameters in.
I think I suggested Isaac that he might work about the number of hours Peter was working, which that time was like 10 to 12 hours a month. Hours seem to be bumped up a little bit now, but so when we think about what they're doing, the principal thing is to keep the trail safe. That they go through there and check if there's any hazards or obstacles or whatever. The other thing that we have had them done, and I think Andrea had worked on this before, is a list of where there's really a lot of wet areas, trails or whatever that need repair. And I mentioned to Andrea that it would be probably interesting to revisit that list and find out if those areas that were quite wet in the spring are still wet. Was it a seasonal thing or is it a year-round thing? And then we have a few trail issues. Peter has suggested rerouting one trail in Champlain South that was pretty vertical. And Evan and I have talked about some of the old trails The legacy trails on Champlain North are kind of pretty much up, down. And we have to move the red trail. We'll get into that a little bit. We'll have to move the red trail on McCulloch off the property that the town will deed to Habitat for Humanity. And then we have what we talked about in the past. We had some kids in here that from the Mountain Bike Club about the mountain bikers on Ames. And I think I sent you all a thread from that's a problem for every group. Karen's shaking her finally.
Well, it seems to be from the emails I get from the CLCC, it sounds like every land trust in the state has problems with bikes.
Well, I mean, the idea of taking, using the stewards to help with some of these repair or rerouting projects is certainly a potential, but if we're like getting sort of low on financial reserves for their part of the budget, I think it might be great in looking at that list again to identify things that maybe we could schedule with a volunteer group in mind, whether it's the Coast Guard, Coasties, or another.
Well, we have I don't know how robust the club is, how many members are.
I could
we have
speak to that.
The high school club, something like perhaps rerouting the red trail might be a project for that. I'm not sure how much of the trail actually goes off our future property or not.
Is that a paper?
I get the newspaper delivered every day, and I'm proud of it. Yes, I love it. So there is a conservation organization called the Connecticut Forest and Park Association, founded in 1895. It's in its second year, and many are college students on summer break who travel to public parks, forest areas, and to clear brush, dig new paths, set stepstones, repair and replace bridges, So, yay for the New London Day.
So the person that's in charge of stewardship of all their properties lives in town, and
of their properties.
All their properties, yeah.
Park, yeah.
Claire Kane.
Oh, yes. I keep
to
hearing
the
her.
Commission, but
Yes.
I can't volunteer what I'm getting paid to do. It would be too much.
Yes. Yes, so it's in the ticker, but,
Well, if
Right.
we prioritize and identify the type of
Yeah.
labor that would be involved and who would be appropriate, whether it's, something like a trail reroute that students could do, or whether we might need some muscle and, a little more maturity, in which case the...
Right, which
that
is
might be more.
when Peter makes suggestions, which he's starting to do more, and if on their walks or any of ours, if we identify certain things, then we could certainly delegate that. And just to speak to the environmental club, this Saturday, Chris Fargo of the Stuart B. McKinney Preserve in Westbrook, because he used to be in the Stanford Westport area. She's a wildlife biologist and naturalist, and she and Evan and I and anyone else is welcome, and Isaac can probably come for an hour. We'll walk Champlain North and parts of Ferry Landing to identify specific areas of invasive species and types, so that in the spring is what we decided, I think, right, that we would have an invasive species clearing party of us and the environmental club. And it would be in a presentation where she's actually showing this is a blah, and giving some background. Not that you guys, some of you can't do that. I mean, you certainly can, but she's willing to do it. And Rockfall is having a similar presentation, which kind of gave me the idea. But so the environmental club is on board. It's a robust, I don't know the numbers, club, and we'll schedule something after this weekend, definitively for the spring, that will coincide with Chris's schedule, will be on the environmental club's docket. I foresee us working with Logan on his property in November. First, he didn't mention us at all in his proposal. It's like, what about Open Space Commission members? And I think it behooves us to be there. So I was like a little surprised by that, and I think we have some accountability and responsibility and liability. So that will be our big project, just as a heads up, in October, November-ish. So
yes. Go ahead.
I'm still not clear on how we can actually expand, or can we expand Peter and Isaac's work at all, based on the budgetary constraints?
It somewhat remains to be seen, because we've not had two stewards before, and we don't really know how much, and every year in some ways could be different, whether we get a storm or whatever, but it's going to be a little bit of an experiment to see how efficient they can be, with this great technique that Andrea came up with, which I think was great, where they split up and do the same property, but they're taking different colored trails. And, if we can economize in that way with their hours, then, we can see what we have left to do other things with them.
I think also that we can front load some of the expenses. I'm somewhat comfortable with having them work more hours now, with the expectation, as Fred said, that they're going to work less time in the winter when there's not as many people in the trail. I mean, people are out there now walking. In the fall, it's beautiful to go out there. And it's a little cold in January. The one other thing I wanted to mention, speaking of Fred and Evan, you guys had both talked about maybe doing some forest planning, and I know Andrea's been interested. CLCC has a guy, Ricky Bentley, that talks about climate mitigation. I haven't really reached out to him, but Isaac does have some academic background in ecology that it would be nice to take advantage of. And I don't know if there's small projects, or I don't think it's fair to ask him to do a forest plan for one of our properties, but maybe do a little bit of research. I think it would interest him, and perhaps help us if we come up with a discrete project to work on. I know Michael had one thing about identifying vernal pools on our properties. Yeah, and you could give Peter and Isaac a training on what exactly vernal pool is. I don't know if this is the worst time of the year to identify them. Michael,
that wouldn't happen until the spring.
Yeah, in the spring. Okay.
But one thing, Isaac might be able to do is just see how widespread the ash wilt is.
Yeah. That's the kind of
the
thing.
Beech, it's actually beech wilt, right?
Yeah.
And what should we do about it?
Yeah. That's the kind of
Even
thing.
just to research it, so take a couple of hours to do some research, and then look at they're out on the property, they're probably seeing it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What do you call that?
Beech leaf.
Oh, beech
There's a
leaf.
nematode.
This is what we want to look for when you're out hiking to the beach.
That was on,
I'm glad Mike mentioned
For
that
the
there's some
first
sand
cave
of
thing.
beach,
Oh, was it? I didn't.
it appears that the beach are going to die from this.
Beech
And when you have a big area like that, it opens up for invasives to come in.
Yeah,
One thing we should be, is somebody to be proactive and get other seedlings in there to dominate before that happens. So,
well, and the opening of the canopy is going to be a real problem if the invasives get all that sunlight.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's going to be invasive city all over the place where the beaches used to be.
yeah.
I've been in touch with Peter Edmondson, who lives here in town, Library Lane, and he's with an outfit called Save It.
Save the Tree.
And the only thing that he can do at this point is to systemically feed trees to increase, but that's not a long-term
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive, it's like $1,500 a tree.
Yeah.
And so you can't save a forest by feeding the trees in the forest. That's just not.
But there is some research.
Oh, there's plenty of research.
And I think they've some encouraging research.
Yeah.
So it may not be a lost, we may not lose all the beaches, but we should certainly be identifying where we would have the greatest impact.
Yeah.
If we did lose a significant number of them. And also if Isaac is going to be doing research, ask him to look into what some of this, some of the, I believe they're using like IPM type approach to trying to deal with this nematode that's causing the beach disease.
Yeah.
So, if any of you have ideas for discrete projects or something, pitch them to us, tell Andrea, and we could get together with the stewards and have them start thinking about it. Speaking of, I was going to jump into Champlain North after this discussion, but I'll mention it now. I know that you know him from the tree commission. Fred, have you or Evan talked to Peter recently?
Peter Edmonds?
Yeah.
No.
So
Barbizon status, you mean?
So he has given me 3 deadlines that he's all missed to prove the Barbizon oak tree, and I'm getting a little frustrated. And I texted him 2 days ago and I haven't heard from him. So I'm going to try to call him one more time and say, look, you got to do it or we're going to somebody else.
I think that's
I
fair.
haven't seen him. So I agree.
He said that the issue is they only have one, kind of like when I had a company from Old Saybrook do some work on my house. He only has one piece of equipment that he feels comfortable bringing in there to go down in that little valley and then come back up, and he only has it for a certain number of days a month. So we shall see. Anyway, that is a job still waiting to be completed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
No, I looked there about 10 days ago. I knew he hadn't done it as of now.
Okay.
Something that, in terms of preserving our forests, we have some hemlock stands still in some places.
Yeah.
And it's the Woolly Belgian that attacks that. But there's a woman that's been working at the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station, and she's been researching these little ladybugs, especially ladybugs, that will attack the Belgian specifically.
Yeah.
And she's released it at several places around the state. I'm not familiar with Phelps Hopyard. It had a beautiful stand in hemlocks years ago. But if you go there now, they're coming back a little bit, and I happened to talk to her at the plant science day that they have, and that's one of the places where she's released these little ladybugs.
Yeah, well,
it seems to be having some effect. I don't know, that's something, a project we might want to consider for our stands at Hemlock here to try to keep them going.
Sure.
It does seem to be having an effect.
Ladybugs against what? What's the word you
The
use?
woolly adelgid hemlock.
The woolly adelgid is an aphid that attacks hemlocks, and it pretty much wiped out it came across in Hurricane Gloria, the winds of Hurricane Gloria in 1985, and following 10 to 15 years, basically wiped out all of hemlocks up and down the Connecticut River.
Elsewhere.
And elsewhere. And then when birds land on the hemlock boughs, they get the adelgid on their feet and they migrate north. So we had them here. They were in Long Island. We got them here. The birds took them north to Greenfield, Massachusetts, which then took them north to
And it's a
southern
spongy?
Vermont. Yes, no, it's an aphid.
Yeah. Oh, it's an aphid.
Yeah, it's an insect. It sucks they attach to the twigs and then they suck the sap out of the twigs, but they...
Sounds like a horror movie.
It's called...
It is, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a steady assault of invasive insects. It's the lanternfly, and I just saw something in the Boston paper over the weekend that there's this new bee that's moving north.
Oh, yeah.
It just was blown away. Somebody sent it to me. He says they have nests as big as lavos.
What?
That was the quote from the paper.
The Southern Yellow Jacket.
Are they nesting underground like our
I
yellow
didn't,
jackets?
the article didn't go.
Are you familiar with hornets and wasps, Michael?
I think I've been stung by most of them.
Intimately
Baltic hornet.
White-faced hornet.
Well,
The white face.
They're black with a little bit of red spot on their tail.
Yeah, it's not.
And a very different look, and I don't recall seeing a hornet or wasp like that before. I was going to take a picture of it and send it to the ag station. Anyway, can we move on? Okay.
Well, just a final thought on that, we spend a lot of time on the trails and people's access to things, but I think stewardship of the forest that we have is something we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. That's our prime responsibility, I believe. Yep. As far as stewardship, our stewardship of McCulloch will be reviewed on October 1st. The TNC has a conservation easement on the property, and we have to do an annual walk with them, and Evan and I are going to do that on the 1st of October. And I guess we'll do it for the land that's going to go to Habitat for Humanity too. I was actually unclear about what the process to transfer that land ultimately to Habitat Humanity would involve.
Should someone from Habitat for Humanity join you? If they're gonna...
It's still town land, it's still town land. So I communicated between TNC, Mike Foliano from Affordable Housing, and put them two together. I think I shared Mike's response to her with all of you. He's basically they're going to create a subdivision, and they need to go through some town processes and so forth. And he assures me, and we'll follow up with TNC, that whenever that property does convey, that Habitat Humanity will touch base with TNC to know exactly what restrictions the potential homeowners will have. And to be frank with you, I'm not sure how their easement for the envelopes compares to the easement for the raw land.
Is it a
But
separate
that's something
easement?
we'll find out. Pardon?
Is it a separate easement? Isn't it covered by the same?
Well, they have to be a little different because the building envelopes would permitted single-family structures on it. So
Right.
they did permit, yeah.
Okay, I didn't
I
know
think
that wasn't permitted
I don't think they're
originally.
drastically different, but
Okay.
by their nature, they are a little different.
Okay.
I think the easement on the McCulloch open space is much more restrictive
Right.
than the easement, than the
So-
restrictions on the lots.
So that, the subdivision process then will carve out
Two
those properties
lots,
from
yeah.
the original easement. And
Yes.
then they'll have to craft an entirely new easement for those properties.
I don't know. I don't know if that easement will carry over or not.
Yeah.
That's for the...
Above my pay grade.
That's
man.
for...
Let somebody else worry about that.
That's for the lawyers to-
That's for
Yeah.
Mike Carey and Affordable Housing to work out. I think we did our share.
Yeah, and then some.
Do you...
So will those properties still have a conservation restriction then?
They will indeed. Yes,
Where they
they
build
will.
the house.
Yes. Yeah, I think...
So there's enough space to get a house in there and the rest remains?
Yeah, and I think they'll need to...
Okay.
I don't think they... I don't know. I don't know what... I can't comment. I don't recall exactly what the easement contains, but it may have limits to whatever buildings they may do. Certainly can't put a second house in the lot. I contacted
Cutting down trees.
Sarah Pellegrino. I said, is there any way we could divide, the 6 acres into 6 lots? She's absolutely not.
Yeah, well, not.
I think that those McCulloch easements, if I'm right, the McCulloch easement was written by Fritz Gahagan at Wallersmith Palmer, and he's written a lot of easements in this area, and generally the building envelopes within a larger matrix of the easements is relatively unrestricted. You can build a barn, you can build a house, you can put a dedication, you can, so it's almost as if it's unrestricted, but you can't subdivide it and you can't put more than one house.
I happened to run into Dave McCulloch at the post office earlier this week. I mentioned him that the process is moving along to have affordable housing in those lots. He was quite pleased.
Good.
Yeah. Ann and Michael, Ferry Landing.
Well, I can just give an overview of Ferry Landing in general, and then Mike and I can maybe just quickly go over. I mean, I think everybody received the project description for the letter of intent.
Mm-hmm.
If they give us a green light, we would then have to put together a grant proposal for that project. But just to sort of, bring you up to date on what's going on at Ferry Landing. First of all, we have a new contact at Deep. Our friend Dave Pollock has moved on to greener pastures. And I don't mean that in faith. So I reached out to Robbie Hoffereth, and at some point, hopefully we'll meet in person. I've also been in correspondence with Nick at Pond and Lake. They're looking to do the fall treatment the week of September 23rd. Thereabouts. They don't have a firm date for us yet.
Is that for treatment?
Yeah. Yeah. And Dennis Quinn, our herpetologist, has been given the heads up on that so that he can get his turtle watching team down there. And I've actually been texting with Isaac over the last couple of moments here.
Ferry Landing.
Two things. He is at Ferry Landing, and last week he identified extreme defoliation on one of the red osier dogwoods, and said there were all these critters all over it. And he sent me some pictures. It turns out I didn't even know there was such a thing, but there is a dogwood sawfly that only eats certain things like red osier dogwood. And of the two dogwoods that we have, one of them is pretty severely defoliated now because of these things. And he's trying to, address make sure that the other one doesn't succumb as well. But he says, other than not having any leaves, it seems pretty healthy. And I'm like, well, I'm not so sure that's a logical sentence right there. But we can talk about that another time. Good news, bad news reports from Isaac. Good news, we have our first aster blooms of the year.
Good.
Very nice. And bad news is that the pond levels have gotten so low that he's actually having trouble filling up the water containers to do the watering up there. And I was telling Andrea, based on conditions in my yard, watering definitely still needs to be taking place.
It's quite dry now.
It's super dry. The soil is like powder in some places. And so I'm not really sure, maybe we'll get a couple of good weeks of rain or something, but hopefully not in October. But there might be, something that boosts the water level, but if not, I'm really not sure how we go about watering there.
End of the growing season, so.
Well, if we can get
Hard
through.
enough, in the winter.
Right, if we can get through, the middle of October, I think then they're on their own, as far as I'm concerned. But we do kind of need to get them that far.
There is and I'm just seeing this on Facebook, and why it's coming to me, I must have clicked on something. But there's a little pump that you can put on a drill.
Like a closed drill?
Yeah. And I was going to buy one and just see.
Yeah.
Does it last longer than filling up 2 gallons,
Right.
Because sometimes those things are really cheap, but it tells me there may be something like that, you have a hand drill and you have a couple of batteries, and it certainly lasts for an hour.
Into the water,
Well, but you'd have a hose.
Right.
You have a hose on one end and a hose on the other, and you just,
I mean, we've discussed how murky that water is, how much algae and detritus and whatever is just in there to clog up anything, pump, hose, or whatever. But we may just have to try it to see.
or you put some sort of you build some simple screen out of a
Right.
coffee can or something, and
Right, yeah.
you just dip it every once in a while to clean off the duckweed. But yeah, I'll investigate that, but that would be something that'd be easy to do, and if it lasts,
Yeah, and if it's not
You just have to charge the
expensive,
battery
and
on
it
the-
doesn't last, you just replace them.
yeah, maybe buy one in summer or something.
Yeah.
And has there been any further discussion on taking out the Atlantis?
Yes, well, that is part of what the grant application might.
Might be able to do.
Yeah.
But that's also why we included a forest management plan as part of the approach, because you take, as we're already seeing, if you open up the canopy, you're gonna get, all comers.
Yeah.
Some of them might not be the ones you want.
Right.
So,
We also have the lanternfly that is the host tree of the lanternfly is.
right, the awareness, right. So, better to get rid of them, but also, need to know what the next step is.
Yeah.
Rather than just leave them.
Yeah, quickly about the grant. I know Anthony Zemba, who's been, as a contractor, helping Audubon, Connecticut, not Connecticut Audubon, it's here. They, in the late 90s or early 2000s, were able to manage an Army Corps program, where the Army Corps, every time someone fills wetlands in Connecticut, they can get a fee in lieu of mitigation, because a lot of times mitigation isn't possible on the side or in the same watershed. So this comes out available every year, and Anthony reminded me by sending something out to the Association of Connecticut Wetland Scientists. It didn't give us a lot of time, but you submit a letter of intent, and I thought, after talking with Greg and Ann, that we should put a proposal. The amounts of money vary by watershed, and the Connecticut River watershed has somewhere between $360,000 and $700,000 available. So we put in a modest request for $18,000 for 2 years, figuring, if we have to do more mowing or treating, and then we threw in, how about a 150-foot buffer that we managed to really help the wetland we're trying to restore. So it fits right into their program. Now, supposedly it's in. Anthony received it. They're supposed to give us an answer by the end of the month, and then their paperwork says you have to have the full grant in by October 1st.
How does that work?
Yeah. So if they don't tell us till the end of the month, I'm not sure. Yeah, so there must be a typo or something, or the date's wrong. I haven't talked about it. If they like the proposal and we have to do some work, we'll see how we have to flush it out. But we might be getting some dollars. I've been involved with another organization where we actually purchased 14 acres, which weren't wetland, and I don't know how my executive director got it, but he got it, and I didn't ask any questions.
Could this grant be used for acquisition?
You got the big handout. They're kind of discouraging that now. They used to be, but it could be. I think it's like just building a reputation with there's money available, like I said, $700,000. We meet all sorts of the criteria. It turns out the lower Connecticut River is a global important bird area for Audubon. I mean, we're in the NERF where, there's spotted turtles on the site.
Nobody spotted the spotted turtle.
No, they did. Audubon did.
Joe Atwater.
Right.
Joe Atwater. He didn't take a picture of the joke. I don't believe you. Are you sure it was a spotted turtle? But, anyhow, we'll see. We should know by the end of the month
All right, well.
whether or not they even like, they would just say, no, forget
If the
it.
grant has to be in the first week of October, somebody else is gonna be writing it, that's all I can say. I'm gonna be a little bit busy.
Yeah.
But, after that, I can. get
We'll see.
Right in, yeah.
We'll get it done.
Yeah,
I think it's done. We know where the money would go, I think.
I can help out if you
Yeah.
will not be there. I can't do it, but I can help out.
So we're not at that stage yet.
Okay. I should look at.
Are you gonna touch base with them as to whether that's a typo or something?
No.
So, wow, okay. I think that would either take the edge off or it means that you gotta start getting your ducks in a row.
Yeah, well, no, if they say they want us to go forward with the project, then I'll ask that question. And say, there might be a typo in your handout. Since you're telling me on September 29th,
Yeah.
We have to keep moving along, so I'd like to move into the Rockwell Foundation. I think I've shared with all of you the display sign that is going to be produced, and also the virtual trail guide. I got some great comments from Andrea and from Juliana Bear, who walked the property with Mike and I in the spring. She's a coastal forest expert for Yukon. These are the two signs that are going to accompany it. The first is going to be placed right in the parking area at the beginning of the trail, and the second are smaller signs that are going to be either nailed to a tree or to a post. I don't know if we have anybody handy. You'd be interested in helping, Fred, if we could get some maybe 3-foot posts, and when we get the signs, just screw the signs into the post and put them in where we have bushes or perennials or whatever, where we don't really have an ability to nail something into a tree.
but we have 4 8-foot 4x4s treated posts.
Okay. I don't think we need anything that big.
So you're talking maybe just red cedar, old dead red cedar posts from
Yeah, something
Champlain.
with
That'd be great to those.
Something with a flat side that you could put a sign
You can
against.
make it flat.
Yeah.
I may have some posts available because we're taking some fencing out and we have locust posts.
Okay. I was thinking something fairly low key, but we will kind of lead into the next thing. But I think we should have this trail guide up and everything posted and set by the time it's our turn for the next Cypress Happy Hour. And you did mention that was a property, so I think that would be kind of a nice little
That would be great.
marriage. I do have an issue with the Rockfall grant, however. They are having their annual meeting at which they would like grant recipients to have a little table exhibit on the exact day and the exact time of our October meeting. So I'm going to talk to them about how necessary
Which is the 9th.
the 9th, yeah.
And our happy hour would be the 2nd.
Yeah.
So there's no,
It's not a
No,
conflict.
they're different.
No, but-
Rockfall annual meeting is the 9th, at the same time we meet it here.
Right.
Oh, our monthly kind
So
of.
I thought you said something about having this.
No, the Hikers Happy Hour, hopefully we'll have this all set up, and that'll be a nice little amenity we can show
So when
off.
does that have to be done by?
October 2nd.
I'm not around for a while, so I think we'll do that.
For
Before October 2nd.
Yeah, I'm away from the 20th to the 4th of October.
You got a week.
Get the sign me quickly, but, yeah. Do you have the sign ready?
One look is going to have the sign, so I don't think.
14 posts.
Yes.
Well, I thought it was just one.
These are posts, right? What are these?
Yeah, if you're not able to do it, it's probably going to have to be put at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Like that 28th, 29th, somewhere around there. If you're not going to be around, we'll
I'm
figure
away,
something.
yeah.
We'll figure something out.
Sorry about that.
So anyway, we'll get into happy hour, but so I can't be in two places at once, so I'm gonna see if I can waive that. If not, maybe Ann will chair the meeting on the 9th.
Are you gonna be around on the 9th?
I should be back by then.
We're done.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay, thank you. So anyway, that's where we're at with the project. It seems to be moving along pretty well.
We could wing it and break that between Evan and...
Yeah, I'm gonna put, each sign is gonna be placed by whatever plant, shrub, or tree is featured.
Right.
And some of them, I mean, I could nail the ones to the oak tree and some of the other trees, something that's gonna go along, a little sassafras plant, it's gonna have to be in state.
Okay.
That virtual for the PDF you sent around, amazing.
Really?
Yeah, it's just excellent.
Thank you. I think people will enjoy it. I think it'll be nice. Talk a little bit about outreach. So I have got 4 RSVPs for Sunday. Have you guys been getting any?
No.
I have one other person I know coming. Can we get a head count as to who might be joining us?
Let's go around the table.
For the September 15th Cave Walk and Talk with Ned Pfeiffer, 3 to 5:30.
I know it seems like this is a busy month. I will come, even though our homeowners association annual meeting is at the exact same time with cocktails.
Oh, no.
I'll buy you a cocktail.
I bet it won't go for that long,
Yeah.
though, 2.5 hours. I don't know what to expect.
But I'll definitely be there.
I'll be there.
Okay.
And I probably will be there.
That's this Sunday?
Yeah.
This Sunday, 3 o'clock at Ames.
I will most likely be there.
Okay.
So many kids' birthday parties, it's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that's over by 3.
I will not.
No?
I'm a strong almost yes.
So, and what time?
3.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
It's actually written up in the O-Line Land Trust, the O-Line Land
I was
Trust,
gonna say, I thought on
Facebook,
Yeah.
through the town, through Cheryl Poirier, the, Limeline's
It's on.
It probably
there's some
would-
posters around
It
town.
probably would be nice to send a note, a couple sentences to Katie Block for Martha to put in her Friday email too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she got it, but I haven't seen it come through. She got the,
Yeah.
email from us.
I did get,
Yeah.
I think I sent it to you, speaking of Cheryl and her husband are coming.
Yep, yeah. And then, so, DK, yes, no?
I'm not gonna be able to be there.
Okay.
I've got a homeowners, well, the annual summer fall picnic of I call it the Boggy Hole neighborhood. And we've got responsibilities.
Well, whether you can come or not, and then I'm going to ask you for land trust people, maybe you're in a book club, or you got your neighborhood association if you're not meeting at the same time, or you got neighborhood friends or someone that you meet at the end of your driveway, just mention it.
Yeah, I think we're going to get.
I think
we're going to get a good turnout. People just don't RSVP.
Yeah.
The RSVP for stuff has been horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you had over 22 people
I know.
at your hike last
But
night.
now we don't ask for RSVP.
Yeah.
They just show up.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
And it was announced at the last one.
Yeah.
Do you know, or any?
I haven't heard anything from the board people. I'll certainly, do a check with them and do a,
Okay.
let you know if any of the
Yeah.
board members are.
I'm planning a boat trip in early October, and we invited 58 people. I'm pretty positive we're going to get at least 40, and I've got positive RSVPs from about 10.
From 10? Yeah.
I think we have like 4 people registered for the regatta. You know.
Civility is going to be on the TV.
Nobody wants
What
to
do you
come
know what
in.
RTD means?
All right,
Okay.
It is what it is.
and you'll touch base with Ned.
Yeah, I emailed him, he was due back yesterday in town, so I said,
Weather's supposed to
yeah,
be
you
beautiful
go to
too.
beautiful.
Yeah,
If he doesn't show up,
we'll wing it.
we'll hunt him down.
You know where you live.
Yeah. Right.
You know, it would be almost really, I think, I don't know how we can do this, but I would love to kind of memorialize a little bit of what he's talking about. I don't know if we could have somebody's phone by him and record what he has to say, or ask him to put together a couple of paragraphs for us. I'd love to include a little
Put
bit
on
about.
our website?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, we can ask him, I'll ask him.
Thank you, that'd be
Sure.
great, John.
Good idea.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have any new business to address? So I would like to go into executive session, and
Okay, I move that we go into.
but we have to stop our recording.
I do have